C5 Insight is a Microsoft partner that plans, builds, and supports solutions in Dynamics 365, Teams, SharePoint, and the Power Platform. Contact us to modernize your business today.
Hi, and welcome everyone to today's Copilot for Sales Bootcamp and Roundtable. My name's Haley, and I'll be your webinar moderator. A few housekeeping items before we get started. This bootcamp is 15 minutes of concentrated content, but we encourage you to stay tuned after the presentation for a roundtable discussion with Asta Patel from Microsoft, who's joining us today, and our C5 Insight team. We welcome your questions throughout the presentation, and you can submit those at any point by clicking the Q&A icon at the top of your screen, and we'll go through them at the end of the session during our roundtable. Finally, if you'd like a copy of our slides with hot links to the mini demos that Jordan is going to be sharing, feel free to reach out to us. Our emails will be on the last slide, and we'd be happy to get those over to you. All right, off to you, Jordan.
Great. Thank you, Haley, and welcome everybody to the last of many Copilot sessions we've been doing over the last several weeks. As you guys can see, today is going to be all about the configuration, the admin work, and how you can set up even custom Copilots through Copilot Studio. So before jumping into too heavy of the demo topics, I want to briefly touch a little bit on the licensing, what that looks like, and what you can get out of it before we take a look at customizing that licensing. So in this final webinar, we're going to be explaining how to set it up, configure, and all of that fun stuff. When we look at all of this, you're going to see a few different ways that you can acquire and start to use Copilot for Sales, which has been the topic of our whole session we've been going through. Whether you're purchasing a Copilot for Sales license, which is that third column you see there, that's going to include Copilot from Microsoft 365, along with a lot of other generative features. Or if you're going all the way up to purchasing Dynamics 365 Sales Premium, that's going to include all of those great Copilot for Sales features in addition to the CRM capabilities of Dynamics. You have quite a few options to explore if the features that we've been walking through in these past couple of weeks are things that you're interested in and would like to start implementing. And before, again, getting into some of these demos, want to look at just some of those features we've been covering, as well as highlighting that there are still quite a few rolling out over the next couple months throughout the year that are going to continue to grow and expand everything that Copilot and Copilot for Sales specifically can do. So if you've been around through these sessions, some of these probably look pretty similar to content that we've already covered, whether it's the sales emails, the summary and the generation of those. Maybe it's just the chat within the Copilot dashboards and within M365 and Teams, or even using some of the other productivity tools like PowerPoint, Word, and Excel to generate content to help with your sales process and your meetings. There's a lot there to jump into, and it's only going to continue to evolve and continue to grow on the timeline that Microsoft has set. So let's take a look at some of the demos we'll be walking through today, kicking things off with enabling Copilot for Sales. So we've looked at many features over the last several weeks, but unless you spend the time to correctly enable them, you likely will be missing out on at least some of what we've discussed. So together, let's watch a demo highlighting the proper way to set up and enable Copilot for Sales for your internal usage.
Before Copilot, when sales received emails from customers, the user would have to navigate into CRM, search for the contact, and if they didn't exist, manually create them, transcribing any pertinent information into the record. Allie's decided to turn on Copilot for Sales to find efficiency. She turns it on in the M365 Admin Center first, then confirms it's on in the Teams Admin Center as well. With Copilot for Sales turned on, she enables it within Outlook, allowing users access to the application. Now, users can access Copilot for Sales directly within Outlook. It provides a brief summary of the email, and the user can sync the contact directly into Dynamics from the email. The user can even track the email itself to Dynamics. These records appear directly in Dynamics, enabling visibility across the sales team so that they can collaborate and move towards serving their customer as efficiently and effectively as possible.
So quick demo there, kind of highlighting that before and after of enabling Copilot for Sales and the different places you have to go to in order to do them. As you can see, the settings do live in a couple different places. So if you're not seeing the expected features, be sure to check not only if Copilot is enabled within the M365 admin dashboards, but that it is also turned on in the specific product admin dashboards like Teams and like Outlook to make sure you're getting the most out of that cross collaboration and the cross functionality between the different productivity applications you're using. Now that we've got Copilot for Sales turned on and enabled within the apps that we need it to be, we're going to take a look at how, even though you're going to get a lot of great features out of the box, you can also configure those out of the box features to better suit your business needs and to really get the most out of those available features. So we're going to kick that off with a demo around being able to do a lead capture directly using Copilot.
Allie's received an email from Kelly Dom expressing interest in a product. Allie wants to create a lead for this interest, but finds she's unable to do so from Copilot for Sales. Allie navigates to the settings of Copilot for Sales to enable the ability for lead creation. Here, she selects Add a Record Type, and then makes the appropriate selections on the form to align with the business need. She ensures to capture the company name for leads as an additional requirement. Allie publishes the change. Returning to Outlook, Allie's now able to create a new lead record and saves the email against that lead record. Allie and her team will now find the lead record in D365 for Sales and can continue to foster Kelly towards her purchase.
As you can see, not only can you use Copilot to automatically create those leads, but using the configuration capabilities of this, you can make it so only the things that you want included in that lead, all the required records, are going to be needed in order to capture that lead. So whether it's full first and last name, several different ways to contact, maybe business address, maybe you want to require additional notes alongside of the contact information. All of that is configurable, so all of the needed information that is essential to your business will be required in order to capture that lead using Copilot. So let's also take a look at the summaries that Copilot can generate, which we've seen through several of the sessions we've gone through this series. But not just the summaries, again, how we can configure and customize those to our specific needs.
Contoso's sales users strive to have the most up-to-date information when talking to customers. To do so, they consider a great deal of information, such as the fields shown here from the opportunity: estimated revenue, estimated close date, customer need, among others. Gathering that information often involves navigating to other records as well, such as the account shown here, to ensure that they have the best data to drive decision-making. Copilot supports this by providing record summaries, which administrators can control within the Copilot Administrative Settings area. Users have identified that the created on date of the opportunity is an important data point. Allie navigates into the settings area and updates the settings to include this field and saves her changes. Now, the opportunity summary contains this information, supporting users by ensuring they have the information that they need at their fingertips.
Right. So like we saw in some past sessions, that summarizing feature is not only a great time saver, but allows you to jump right into your sales process without missing a beat. And now you can see not only does it provide those great time-saving features, but you're able to customize those to be the exact pieces of information you need in order to move your sales process along further and just really give you the full benefit of these different AI tools. Now that we've looked at both enabling and configuring, we want to take a look at the analytics and what we do with the information. So having creative and productive AI features is obviously a big win in and of itself. However, being able to take this one step further, so not only use the tools, but also analyze how these tools are impacting your business is where you will really start to understand the benefit of Copilot and see some of the ROI. This feature is currently available in preview, but let's take a look at how using Copilot and Power BI in this conversation intelligence dashboard is going to give you the ability to analyze your business data and just make more intelligent choices for your processes moving forward.
Like most organizations, Contoso strives to have insights and analytics at their fingertips. With the Copilot for Sales Conversational Intelligence Dashboard, Ali has that and more. This Power BI dashboard contains insights on 3 core areas: coaching opportunities, customer insights, and conversation recordings. Each area provides a dynamically responsive interface. Here, Ali navigates through the various data points, selecting aspects of data which then update the rest of the metrics. This allows Ali the ability to drill into items that catch her attention or derive key metrics for the team to hone in on. The Customer Insights area provides a glimpse into the overall sentiment of the conversations, giving Contoso detail on where things are negative and positive so that they can strive to improve or continue. The Conversation Recordings area itemizes the various calls, allowing Ali or other managers to drill into the specific calls to see how things went. All these insights give Contoso tangible information that they can use in their constant effort to provide exemplary service.
Great. So not only do we have all these fantastic features we covered to use and benefit our day-to-day, but there's also a ton of analytics and data on the back end that's being collected to make sure that not only you get great tools to use, but the data to show you how to use those tools more effectively to improve your business overall. So we have a few more videos we're going to watch together, and these are going to be all about Copilot Studio. So we've looked at how to properly enable your Copilot, how to configure those features to really best fit your business needs, and finally, how to analyze the Copilot data to understand the impact it's having on your organization. But what if the out-of-the-box features that we've been talking about aren't enough? Well, let's walk through a few scenarios here, highlighting different ways that you can customize your own AI assistant using Copilot Studio with various levels of coding required. So we're going to go through 4 different demos with these that are all quick, so it might be just a little bit past our 1:15 time, but let's jump in and take a look at different ways that you can build your own assistant here.
Sometimes a sales rep needs quick access to sales collateral without having to search in multiple places to find what they need. I'm going to ask this Copilot for information on our Luck 365 support plan. It returns some commentary, summary, and links to available collateral that I can click to open it. I can also ask it for more information to help me have a sales conversation on this topic. Let's take a look at how I set this custom Copilot up. In Copilot Studio, I went to the Generative AI area. And here, I just pointed to 2 locations where collateral on our company can be found: our public website and an area we use in SharePoint for this kind of content. I could have also uploaded documents to help build the AI models. I also made sure that conversational boosting was on. This creates a conversational boosting topic that Copilot uses AI to call based on the information I entered earlier and the information available on the sources I've provided. In the conversational boosting topic, I give it a little more information about the nature and even character of this Copilot, making it not only informative, but also witty, engaging, and like a part of the culture we have here at C5 Insight.
So what we could see there is with some no-code solution, still able to build our own bot, give it a personality that we want to see, and access that internal data that it needs to give the correct answers people are looking for. And let's watch another no-code to low-code option that could be used within this.
In a professional services setting, it can be helpful for those in a sales role to know when resources will be available to start a new project. Copilot Studio can be set up to provide an answer to that question quickly. Here, a seller asks Copilot when a resource will be available and what kind of skill set or project type it's regarding. Copilot responds back with the next available date someone with a skill set is available and any travel or time off that might impact delivery. Behind the scenes, a Copilot to do this could be built by creating a conversational plugin. Copilot can be in charge of selecting when to use these. It based on the name and description of the conversational plugin and the conversation starters. It can call a custom action. This particular action might pull the project type out of the user prompt and submit it to our project management engine to determine when a qualified resource will become available. That information can then be passed back to a generative answer step This step takes the output of the action and uses Copilot to convert it into a message that's friendly for the Copilot user. So the author of the custom Copilot wouldn't even have to write a response.
And with that, we could see the collaboration of the generative features of AI, along with the Power Automate features we were bringing in to elevate and build and add in to our chats that we can have at Copilot. And we have two more demos we're going to look at here about Copilot Studio and the just furthering the amount of code and technical requirements needed in order to build these. So let's jump into how you can manage travel requests using that.
To close a deal, a seller sometimes needs to visit the client in person. Using the customized sales support Copilot, Ali asks for approval to visit an important customer. Copilot submits the request, and Ali's manager receives an approval request in Microsoft Teams and approves it. And a few moments after the approval is made, Ali receives a notification in Copilot. I've turned tracing on so we can see how this Copilot worked. Copilot intelligently parsed the data from this request to populate these 4 fields. This was set up as an action. On the Details tab, I gave the action a description so that Copilot would know when to call this action based on user prompts. The action called a Power Automate flow. On the first step of the flow, I can ask for inputs. Here's where I asked for the client name, travel start and end dates, and travel budget. From there, I launched a standard approval process, and I responded back to Copilot with the accept reject approval status. Back in Copilot Studio, on the action I created, it automatically knew about the 4 inputs from the Power Automate flow. Notice how the name and description helps Copilot know how to parse those values out of the user prompt. Notice also that I gave it plain English instructions on how to format those values so they would successfully be passed to the flow. And for the output, I let AI generate the message. So it took the raw accept reject status from the flow and passed it back to the user in a well-written format.
Finally, after seeing a few different scenarios where you can utilize a custom Copilot Studio with some no-code and low-code requirements, let's take a look at how we can bump that up to the final level here and install and implement a fully pro-coded add-in for your business. Together, let's take a look at how you can implement a pro-code Copilot Studio as an add-in to your everyday productivity and communication tools such as Teams and Outlook. Starting in our Copilot panel on Teams, we can see all of our favorite generative features such as drafting an email, catching up on what's new, or recapping the status of some current sales. But what if I needed more specific custom information to filter through this chat? Well, using custom-built API add-ins, you have the ability to do exactly that. And whether you built the code yourself, you're using Microsoft's available samples online, or you're using tools like Copilot for GitHub to assist you in coding, the process to install this add-in remains the same. After your Pro Code add-in is built, you simply have to upload it inside of your Microsoft Teams Admin Center, ensuring correct access for anyone that needs to utilize your newly built tool. And after confirming access is correct, you can now find and interact with this new add-in directly inside of Teams. With our Pro Code Copilot Studio add-in uploaded, we can now find it under Plugins or More Plugins if you don't see it auto-populate. From here, we simply need to turn it on, and now we can start chatting with this new addition, giving Copilot a new set of data and boundaries to work within. Now, like many other features that we've walked through, Copilot will take just a minute to analyze all the necessary data, give you the information you are asking for, and provide it to the user in a way that is quickly digestible while being editable and continuously interacting with your other business technologies. Okay, so whether you are implementing a drag and drop no-code chatbot that accesses your internal SharePoint data, or if you're using a fully custom Pro Code Copilot to provide and interact with that sales data, there's plenty of options available to fit even the most specific needs that you have for Copilot. So again, went a couple minutes over, but thank you all for joining us through this past several weeks of Copilot for Sales. It's been a great time getting to teach and learn with you all along the way. And for next steps, I'm going to be handing it over to Haley.
Thanks, Jordan. There was so much packed into each bite-sized demo you shared. I think this session will be a particularly valuable deck for participants to request a copy of, honestly, so they can go back and get a closer look. So just as a reminder, if you want a copy of this deck, shoot us an email and we'll get it over to you. So that concludes the bootcamp portion of this Copilot for Sales session. Next, we are going to jump into the roundtable discussion.
Struggling to leverage Microsoft Enterprise solutions? At C5 Insight, we understand the intersection between technology, business, and people. Contact us to learn more.
One of the first questions we received was from Nidhi, and she was asking about the licensing for Copilot Studio versus Copilot for Sales. So could we just talk a little bit about the differences between those two?
Yeah, of course. So as you might have seen if you've been through quite a few of these sessions, Copilot for Sales has been the main license that we've been discussing. And we've looked at the pricing for that a few times, whether it is a $50 a month standalone Copilot for Sales that comes with Sales and Copilot for Microsoft 365, or as we saw earlier today, having the premium version of Dynamics 365 Sales is going to include that as well. So another way to look at that. Copilot Studio is a fully separate licensed product. So it can be used alongside of some of these other ones we've looked at, like Copilot for Sales and M365, but it will be a separate purchase. And Copilot Studio, being that separate license, is $200 a month for the Studio license compared to the couple different ones that we've been looking at.
And I believe that $200 per month is for, I believe that $200 a month is a consumption license, meaning you have 25,000 messages per month. So you don't need to pay $200 per month for every user, if I understand it correctly. It's more you would have one license for a certain number of these. And if you're like, well, people are hitting that one 50,000 times a month, okay, you'd probably need to buy another license to get up to that. The other thing to know is if you want to play with Copilot Studio, I think there's currently available I think Microsoft calls it like some kind of trial license. They have a special word in front of it. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a trial you can get. So if you want to play with it before you commit, I think you can get that for like a 30-day period and play around with Copilot Studio.
We've definitely covered quite a few different Copilots throughout this 8-week session, covering different aspects of Copilot for Sales, but we've also talked about Microsoft 365 and the Copilot that comes with that. Can somebody talk about how you know which Copilot would be best for an organization?
Yeah, I can take that. So definitely there's a lot of Copilots and it can be confusing on where to get started. I kind of divided it in multiple segments. So we have the base Copilot, which is M365, and all of the other Copilots are sort of built on top of it, right? So you have Word, you have Outlook, Teams. And so if you want Copilot related to all of the information that lives in that, that would be M365. Then we have our business Copilots that takes it a step further, right? So it's built on top of M365, but now we're connecting our sales organization information, so our CRM, our service information. So if you were looking for any of the business Copilots, then we have Copilot for Sales that you saw today, and then we have Copilot for Service. But again, we have a lot more with Copilot Studio. We have Copilot for Finance, and we have a great documentation that Microsoft has curated that we can add in the chat so you can get started there as the first starting point into what would be the best start for your organization.
Just to add to that, I went ahead and dropped that link in the Q&A for all of you to see. It has not only some really great information around just general news and announcements that Microsoft is making around Copilot AI, but also walks through general benefits. It has customer stories that you can read through to get some different perspectives on it, and it has links to landing pages for each of those separate types of Copilot. So a lot of general information, and gets quite specific for the different questions that you may be trying to answer there.
One other thought on which one should I use too. If you're a technologist and you're thinking about licensing, it's important that you start to understand those. So that's where some of this conversation is really beneficial for you. But if you're a user or if you're working with your users, what I have found is the answer to that question is use Copilot where you're doing the work, right? So it doesn't need to be a complicated issue of, oh my gosh, I need to get something done. Which Copilot should I work with? I'm in Word. I need to do something having to do with generative AI, summarizing my document, creating new context. Use the Copilot that's right there in Word. I'm inside of dynamic sales. I need to do something that has to do with dynamic sales records. You're probably going to be able to use the one that's available to you right there. So hopefully, yes, you have to make some more complicated decisions about licensing, but once you do that and you're onboarding and training your users to adopt, part of that conversation is not having them to understand all that. It's just, where are you trying to get something done? There's probably a Copilot nearby you can use to help you get that job done.
That's a great point. And kind of following up on that, sellers use a variety of applications to get their job done, and other people within the organization too, not even just sellers. How does an organization extend Copilot for sales even beyond maybe CRM or some of the things we've talked about previously?
I can take a first crack at that one. That's a big one to potentially look at with lots of different ways to look at it. First of all, when you say extend, I'm going to assume we're not talking about the out-of-the-box features, right? You're thinking about, I need to do something that Copilot doesn't do for me that I can just license and have available at my fingertips automatically. So then you're talking about one of the extension options, right? So the easiest way to do that is what's called Copilot Studio, and that is a low code, no code, low code type of environment to build extensions. You saw some videos on that were rapid. So hopefully it gives you the big picture, if not some of the training on how to do some of those things. It's not necessarily no technical adeptness required at all. It does take a little bit of time and effort to learn how to do it. But if you've ever created a flow in Power Automate or something like that, then you have everything it takes to be able to learn how to build a Copilot in Copilot Studio. So that's one tier. Then Azure has a tremendous number of AI builder tools, and that was the last video Jordan played. So if those low code, no code ones don't work for you, you can get in there and build some custom items in there. One of the core concepts with all of those is you can create connectors to other data. So if you're saying my salespeople need to connect to something, maybe in addition to Dynamics, maybe you're using SAP and they need to inquiry about inventory in an SAP system to tell a prospective buyer if they've got that item in inventory right now. You could build your own Copilot that says, go look at SAP, take this question that's asked in regular English, give the user an answer back, and present that to them. And that can be embedded directly into, by and large, the default right now is the Teams Copilot. When you're in Teams chat and you see the Copilot in there, that's where those surface. You saw one of those that Jordan showed you earlier. I actually was able to go in and extend the Copilot that's in Dynamics itself. If you go into your Dynamics environment within the Copilot Studio, you can go make changes. I've not seen much I've actually seen no documentation on that yet. So I don't know if as Microsoft creates more changes, will that maybe get overwritten with Microsoft's new functionality and features? So use that at your own risk. But if you do need to try to put something in there, there is the opportunity to go in and tailor that within Copilot Studio.
In addition to some of the custom ways to do it that Jeff was just talking about, and some of the different connectors, Microsoft does include several different connectors out of the box that are able to be turned on and integrated. And some some of them are going to be the most popular and most kind of widely used sites and applications that a lot of businesses are using in the day-to-day. So things like Seismic, DocuSign is right out of the box able to be used as a connector, which really just adds a lot to some of the features we've been looking at over the past several weeks. So when you're pulling up that summary of your opportunities, of your different sales records, not only is it going to be pulling that really great information from Dynamics, to give you all the information that's been put in there, but having that connector with something like DocuSign will also then bring in summaries from all the contracts that you've signed with them and the different documents that have been needed to move that process forward. So it really just adds and elevates a lot of the things that we've been able to walk through together.
Thanks for those insights, guys. I am going to jump back for just a minute on licensing because we had a question come in. Should be pretty simple here. Michael has a D365 Sales Enterprise license, which includes Copilot. He wants to know if that gives him access to M365 Copilot for Office apps as well.
Yeah, I can take that. So yeah, if you have the Sales Enterprise licenses, you get what we call the standard Copilot features. So that would be the meeting summarization, some of the sidecar capabilities. However, you wouldn't get the M365 features. So the extended capabilities, we call that the premium features that you get with Copilot for Sales. That would require a separate license of $50 per month per user.
Thanks for clarifying that, Asta. So when we're talking about Copilot for Sales in CRM, we also had a question about customizing fields. So what does it look like to customize the forms and fields? Is that possible within the Copilot for Sales sidecar experience?
Yeah.
So that, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, after you.
Yeah, definitely possible. I know Jordan showed some of that in the demo today. As an admin, you can configure the fields that you're looking at, as well as add additional objects or record types that you wanted to see in there. If you didn't see lead, if you wanted to see events, we can definitely add that into the sidecar experience, as well as add any additional fields. And you do that in the team setting of that specific app. And I can share a documentation that kind of walks you through exactly how you do that.
Yeah, if you want to post that in the Q&A, or I can also, I'm going to do a roundup of all these questions. We have an ongoing blog that we're updating. So once we get this last session posted and all of the Q&A added, every participant will get an email with a link to that FAQ blog, which will have resource links like Asta has been referencing. What if somebody who's attending does not have Dynamics 365 and they're working with Salesforce? I know we've talked about Copilot for Sales integrating with Salesforce. Is there documentation on that from Microsoft as well when it comes to Salesforce integrating with Copilot for Sales?
Absolutely. And like some of these other links, we'll make sure to get it in the Q&A for you. We'll obviously be advocates for the Microsoft products and using Dynamics for the best capabilities and the most out of what we've been reviewing. But if you are a Salesforce user, there is plenty of features that have been worked into bridge that gap between the Microsoft Suite products that you're using and then Salesforce, and really bringing those together in similar ways that we've been seeing pulling in that same CRM information from Dynamics. So we'll get that link posted right now for you guys.
Cool. Yeah, I think one thing that we covered previously when somebody asked a question about Salesforce was how in Copilot for Sales and Dynamics 365 and the Microsoft suite, you have it in your flow of work. So not only will you have it in your CRM, but it's in your productivity apps like Word and PowerPoint and Teams. So having that seamless integration, I think, is a huge benefit to using Copilot for Sales within a Dynamics 365 environment. Thanks for that, Jordan. All right, so we went a little bit over on our boot camp, and we are just about at time for our roundtable, and I don't see any other questions coming in, so we are going to call that a wrap. I feel like this has flown by. I can't believe this is our last one, but again, if you'd like a copy of the slides, which includes hot links to those demos that Jordan was sharing, go ahead and send us an email. We'll be happy to get those over to you. And we're so grateful for everybody who has been attending these. We hope it's been incredibly valuable and helped you on your journey to adopting Copilot and AI.